evil woman. C plus. I was the pastor's son. No, I'm just kidding. So I was irritated because I had never gotten any grade below that before. I don't know why. Maybe I had been shown some favoritism. Maybe it was because I actually did the work. I've always wondered. But I got a C plus from Mrs. Hins. And I went up to her and I was like, I think you made a mistake here. You know, you must have been looking at someone else's paper when you wrote that number or that letter down. Because this, you know, I don't do C plus work. And she looked at me and she said, that's a C plus paper. I graded it as if it were your final paper. I didn't grade it as if it were your first draft. I thought, well, that's a ripoff. It's a first draft. Grade it like a first draft. She goes, no, I just wanted to let you know this grade doesn't actually count towards, I'm grading it as if that were your final draft. I wanted to encourage you to improve it. And I didn't get it. So finally I just said, okay, what can I do to improve it? And she said, well, let's take a look. And she showed me 2 of my paragraphs. And my 2 paragraphs are sort of like, complete independent thoughts. There was no connecting thought between the 2 of them. And there was no connecting words in between the sentences or anything. And at one point she said, like use the word although or however now and then. And I thought, well, fine then. So I went home and I just threw in howevers and all those. I took every sentence that I saw and I looked at it, and at the beginning of every paragraph I would change it from whatever it was. I would add the word although, however, or therefore. And I just smacked them in there. I'm sure I must have made some other changes too in the process of reviewing the paper, but I added although, however, and therefore all over the place. And I turned it back in. I said, what do you think of this? And she read it and she gave me a B plus on that next round. I was like, I'm moving in a good direction here. So then I took the paper home again, and I put however and although and therefore at the beginning of every sentence. Every sentence, I just smacked them down in there. And I was like, okay, these 2 sentences can go together. So I'm going to put a but in between the 2 of them. And then these 2 sentences can be split up. This one sentence can be split up, but I'm going to put a however there. And that's all I did. My mind was just all however, although, and therefore. However, although, and therefore. And I just put them everywhere I could. I filled up the thing. And I got an A. And I was like, woohoo! That's awesome. I just, I had some success. And I did the next thing. I went deeper. I went fuller. I went more into it. And even though at the time it started out as me just being resentful of this woman who had given me such a bad grade, it actually made me into a better writer, because then I realized if I'm going to put in although there has to be something before it and something after it that makes sense together. And if I'm going to put a therefore, there has to be something here that's therefore something else to talk about it. I needed to do that kind of stuff, and so it made me a better writer. And at the end of that term, I was really irritated at Mrs. Hins because she was one of the best teachers I ever had in high school. Sometimes you find success and you go deeper into it. You push farther in. But sometimes you'll find some success and your response will be to step back into what's comfortable. I took a risk and I had some success, but I want to step back into something that's comfortable. And when Asa faces his test, that's what happens. Take a look at it with me. Asa's test begins in chapter 16. In the 36th year of Asa's reign, Baasha, king of Israel, went up against Judah and fortified Ramah to prevent anyone from leaving or entering the territory of Asa, king of Judah. Set this up for you, just so that you can get a picture of it. Baasha is the king of the north, the Israelite kingdom. He's the king up there. People from the north have been moving down south to hang out in Asa's kingdom because God is there. Baasha moves against Asa because he's nervous. And all he does is he takes one city, Ramah, and he strengthens it. He fortifies it. He makes it ready so that no one can go north or south past that city. And look what Asa does. Asa then took the silver and gold out of the treasuries of the Lord's temple and of his own palace, and sent it to Ben-Hadad, king of Aram, who was ruling in Damascus. Here's Israel. Aram is over here, who is ruling in Damascus. Let there be a treaty between me and you, he said. As there was between my father and your father, see, I'm sending you silver and gold. Now break your treaty with Baasha, king of Israel, so he will withdraw from me. Ben-Hadad agreed with King Asa and sent the commanders of his forces against the towns of Israel. They conquered Ijon, Dan, Abel-Maim, and all the cities, the store cities of Naphtali. When Baasha heard about this, he stopped building Ramah and abandoned his work. Then King Asa brought all the men of Judah, and they carried away from Ramah the stones and timber Baasha had been using. With them, he built up Geba and Mizpah, 2 cities in Judah. Now, let me just draw this out for you a little bit. Here's this king coming down from the north who's doing nothing to attack them. He's just building a city. That's it. And Asa, for whatever reason, freaks. It's been 25 years since he had his encounter with Zerah. It's been 25 years since he relied on God to fight a battle. And now here's this guy from the north who's just fortifying a city. What's going on in Asa's mind? Is he thinking, well, the guy up north is sort of my relative, so maybe I can't fight him as strongly? Maybe he's thinking, well, the guy up north I know from his dad's reign, because Jeroboam was like the earlier king, and Jeroboam had 800,000 in his army, and here Asa has 580,000. So, maybe Asa's thinking, well, they outnumber me. I don't know what's going through Asa's mind, but what he does is he goes back to something that's completely human. He gives money to an enemy. In fact, let me just put the blank up for you. Asa finds his strength by buying off an enemy, the king of Aram, by buying off an enemy with God's own treasure. And it works. I mean, sort of. Israel gets hit pretty hard, and now he's got an ally. Seems like it works. But look at what happens next. The lesson that comes after this. A prophet comes up to Asa, and he says these words. At that time, Hanani the seer came to Asa, king of Judah, and said to him, because you relied on the king of Aram and not on the Lord your God, the army of the king of Aram has escaped from your hand. You might not pick up on that. I didn't the first time I read it, but this is a hint. See, what this is telling us is that if Israel had attacked Judah, Aram, their ally, would have joined in.